In our first episode, we sat down with Megann Willson, CEO of Panoptika company. Together with her, we discussed secrets of running a business as a female entrepreneur and technology industry in Canada. If you would like to start your own business, this video is for you.
So I've got a company of my own called Panoptika. I've been running that business with my partner for about 16 years now. And we help companies do a couple of things, but really what we help them do is explore new markets or customers they want to work with, collaborate with the ones they have, and then grow their own businesses or their careers. And that's really what we're all about. So we're about focusing on who's being helped rather than what we want to make somebody take.
That's just awesome. So as far as I know, you created this company in 2001, right?
That's right.
And it's based in Toronto?
So we are based in Toronto, but we advertise ourselves or tell people we are half suitcase will travel. So wherever the client needs us to help, we can go there.
You mentioned that you actually moved from Nova Scotia to Toronto. Is that because you wanted to have change, or you wanted to create this company and you moved to Toronto? So what happened there?
Oh, well, I came here originally when I was just barely graduated as a student, the first time to Toronto. So I lived here for quite a long time. And then I had an opportunity to go back. So like a lot of people, I thought maybe I should go back to this place where I was from, and I would give back and I would do a lot of things, and I still had family there. But I discovered while I was there, even though I had some great opportunities, the opportunities here were different. I know how to navigate the system here better. I had a bigger network. I was more comfortable, and it's a much more urban place. So even the largest city in Nova Scotia is very small compared to Toronto. I like big, bigger is exciting for me.
And in terms of the ecosystem, how do you see the differences between Nova Scotia and Toronto? We hear some new technology companies they are emerging there.
Yeah.
But I'm not pretty sure what is exactly how it feels to set up a business there or vice versa in Toronto. So what do you think is different or potential challenges?
Nova Scotia is very, so there's a lot of government institutional support for companies to set up, for things to happen. The largest industries are universities, hospitals, governments, the largest employers. So it creates a very different feel, a very public service feel, rather than a private sector feel like Toronto has. Here it's the private service companies and the entrepreneurs who run the world. There it's often the institutions, or it feels like it is, who control the world. Lots of big companies, and that's anyone from, so BlackBerry went there, Salesforce has been there, IBM has been there, all the banks have offices that they rotate people through. The big C consulting companies, whether that's things like Accenture or Deloitte, they've all got offices there. And it's a great place to rotate young managers through because it can be a tough place to break in. It's very close knit. If you can prove that you can integrate into society there and be welcomed and understand a bit of a different culture, it makes you very well seasoned when you come back to some place like Toronto that's bigger, because you've shown that you can really get someone to trust you and like you, where it's very close knit. So I think there's a lot of value in that. There's a lot of subsidization because traditionally employment has been poor in the ends of the country and certain parts of the middle of the country. Places like Nova Scotia or Newfoundland are often giving grants to big companies, employment rebates, salary rebates, to get them to come and locate there. So it is a bit different than working at head office. It can be fun, it can be challenging, and it depends on what you want. For me, it really feels very much like home to me.
And at the same time, in terms of the human resources, you can pretty much find any specialist here in Toronto because we have a lot of people specialize in specific industries.
And you can ask anyone for help. The hierarchies are different. I will say that's a fantastic thing about Nova Scotia is that in Halifax, for example, if you go to something like a Chamber of Commerce luncheon, you're just as likely to see anyone from the premier down to someone who just started a car wash business and everything in between. So you have a lot of physical access to people. But here in Toronto, there's still, the more people you have, the more chance you have of finding an opportunity. So I think big is good.
You are a working female and pretty successful one. How do you manage to do things that you like at the same time, like run your own business? And I know that you're also running the business together with your husband. So how the chemistry works? How do you guys manage to talk about the business and about the personal life? So how does it feel to have a partner who is your life partner?
We met at work. We were very young and we were friends before we were involved with each other. So I think that helps. You need to know someone and know you can trust them. In the business, whether you have a partner or not, and no matter who the partner is, and even if it's not your life partner, you have to be really good at saying yes to things like opportunities. You have to know where you can sacrifice because the opportunity is important. You also have to be really good at saying no and turning away things that will harm the relationship, the way you've agreed the business should operate. We're very different in how we like to work, for example. So we have to respect that. But we have some rules in our own. We've always had an office in our house, and then we go out and we work at the client. So you could easily just talk about business over dinner and at night and on the weekends and every morning. And we just said at the very start, if we do that, there's no place for the life anymore. And then when we had kids, it was of course especially important. So we said we had certain rules. We invented codes that told the other person that they were overstepping a rule we agreed on. Our biggest rule is if you start talking about business at the dinner table or in the evening when we've passed whatever time we've finished work, we go, okay, work is done now. We'd say, have you forgotten to close the door of the office? Even if there wasn't a physical door, it meant work time is done. We agreed we wouldn't talk about this when work time was done. Because people have a very meshed life right now, especially it's even more, people have a more blended life, but for us that works really well. And if you make a commitment, you keep a commitment. If I say I'm going to go to, my kids are grown up now, but when they were younger, if I said I'm going to be at the school on Tuesday afternoon because it's a concert, and then someone called and I had an opportunity to make money and it was a really slow month, I had to say either, can my partner do that? Or am I willing to disappoint my kid?
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe not. And so you just have to think about stuff and what's important. You also your kids have to be resilient too. They have to realize parents, mothers and fathers have jobs, they have lives, that they are not the center of the universe all the time, as much as they would like to be. It's harder if you have one kid to get them to understand that. If you have more kids, they know, oh, that's that other kid's turn now. It's not my turn right now.
Yes.
When there's one kid, they think it's always their turn, even with mommy and daddy. You just have to learn to kind of put that aside, and so things would happen, if I got a call from my son saying, I'm at school, I forgot my lunch, I'd say, well, that's great, but I'm in a big meeting, and so I guess you'll be hungry until 3 o'clock. And I don't think anyone's starved between 12 and 3 yet. This hasn't happened, so I'll see you later. Which maybe somebody's mother would think was really harsh, but I've never seen a kid starve to death in 3 hours except who was already actually starving, and nobody in Mississauga does that, or Toronto, or wherever. So you have to be realistic.
And at the same time, it builds resilience on the kid that they know that not everything is pink in the world.
Little things will happen to them, and they'll realize, well, it wasn't great, I didn't like it, but I got through it, it was okay. I turned out all right. All right, next time I'll know, and either I'll remember my lunch or I'll learn I don't really care that much about lunch anyway. So they'll get better. They'll figure it out.
So when you look back, do you think you would choose not to be a working female, or you would say, no, I'm still proud, I would do exactly the same? In terms of you would spend more time with your family, or like to be like wife, or just do things in the life that you want to do, or you're like not all the time everything is perfect, so you need to go back and forth. So.
I don't know a woman alive who doesn't say there are things I would do differently, or a man for that matter. I think we all have the benefit of looking back and seeing where we made our mistakes and thinking about it. You know, for me, I was fortunate I had an opportunity to stay home with my kids when they were really small. So when my daughter was a baby, I went back to work not very long. She was, I don't know, maybe 8 months. So I took longer than was a normal maternity leave then. But then when I had my son, I wasn't making a lot of money. All my money went to daycare. So I said, well, what's the point of working when all your money goes to daycare? It's a very short-sighted way to look, I realize now. Because what I see now is, yes, I would have lost all my money, but I would have gained a lot of seniority and influence and time just by staying in the workplace. So when I came back in, it was a lot harder to come back in. So, you know, I would say if I did it over, I would probably keep my hand in a bit more. I would have kept my career going a bit different way. I might have started my business sooner, because I started my business quite far down the road, not when my kids were really small. There's a writer, her name is Nora Ephron. When in one of her books, she said, because there was this big, during the time my kids were young, the big thing was quality time. Doesn't matter if you give them all their time, if when you're with them you give them quality time. And she said, kids don't give a crap about that. They don't want quality time, they want quantity time. If they can have it, they want all your time. They don't care. They don't care what the impact is on you. And so later you have to think, I can't feel guilt or shame about how much. No one craps on somebody's father for not bringing cookies to the bake sale at school, or not spending enough time with the kid at the playground, or not reading enough bedtime stories. I mean, we're only now coming into a generation where young men in business actually think about, did I spend enough time with my kid?
Yeah.
It's only barely happening now. It sure didn't happen, you know, it was rare. Whereas my husband and I both, okay, so here's another code we have. When fathers spend time with their children, it isn't babysitting, because it's their own children. It's only babysitting if it's someone else's kid, not yours. And so we equally took time to do things. You know, at one point he traveled a lot. He went away every week. And I most of the time had the kids when they were very small by myself. And then he would come home on the weekends, or he would come home whenever. And later, I traveled all the time, and he was the one who had an office close by and would go to the school and would pick up the kids and would do whatever. I felt more guilt about it. People tried to make me take more guilt about it, but I had to learn not to accept that.
And he was pretty supportive, because not all the men do this, right?
He had a working mom, so he learned that that was a good way to be. I observed a few things. When he would travel and be away all the time, I didn't get a lot of offers of help with the kids, or like, let me cook a meal for you or do something. Or when I would go out of town, he got offers all the time. Let me bake a casserole for you, or can I pick up the kids for you? It must be so hard for you being their dad and trying to actually feed them at the same time. It's ridiculous. It's a completely ridiculous double standard. And he says that himself. So, you know, I don't know, what do I say about that? When you choose a partner, choose wisely. Choose someone with common values. And if they expect that you are going to just be a supporter and cheerleader of their life, run like hell. Run.
And I liked the way you said that, because he had the working mom, he understood you. So what if he didn't have the working mom and then you were working? Maybe it would be different again, right?
I told my daughter and my son the same things. If you ever find a partner and you go to their house and their mom or their sister or somebody at their house is picking up after them, doing all their, you know, being their supporter of their whole everything, so that all they have to do is be what they want and someone else takes care of everything for them, understand that that's what that person has been conditioned to be like, and that's what you will get.
Exactly.
If you don't want that, don't buy it at the very beginning.
Definitely.
Walk away.
You started a business like 2 decades ago, and the way
Yeah.
it was running, right now, it's pretty different. And like in terms of the marketing, consulting, and the industries that you were involved, like healthcare and technology, how do you see the differences, like before and now? Like what changed in Canada, like the business practices? And of course the woman involvement, like do you see more women now or it's more or less same?
I do see a lot more women being groomed for senior roles in businesses, in corporations. There's a lot of attention to that. I still think a lot of women that I see get into business because they think it will help them facilitate a lifestyle. So if I see 2 young entrepreneurs, I'll often talk to men and they'll say they want to get into it because they want to get rich, they want to build something, they want to make an exit, they want to scale, they want to do all that stuff. Not that there aren't women who also want to do that, but I also hear women saying, and I want to be able to build a philanthropic foundation, I want to still be able to have time for my family, I want to have a life that I want. They seem to have a richer imagination about their possibilities maybe. So that's interesting to me. Until very recently, Canada has been what I would describe as a branch plant country. And here's what I mean by that. So yes, we have a resource industry in this country. Pulp and paper has always been big here. Hydroelectricity is big here. Mining is things we can dig out of the ground, dig up, chop down, burn or melt or turn into things. We're good at that. Other things like pharmaceuticals, like technology, things that are built or made or have value added on top of the resource that goes into them. A lot of those businesses, we've had jobs in Canada where the head office is somewhere else. So every time somewhere else has a recession or a problem or a difficulty or wrecks something in their country, we suffer the consequence. We lose jobs. We have a subsequent monetary problem, economic crisis, recession. We're finally getting to realize, and I don't mean that we should be protectionist, like things like the Buy America plan or the only buy Canadian or only do this. That's shutting yourself off to the world. Everyone should build their business thinking, there's opportunity in the whole world for me. There is a place in the whole world for me. And Canada can be the center of it, not somebody who just gets fed by someone else. We can feed ourselves and we can feed other people. So we need to learn that we can start things, not just be hired by others. Be really good workers, be great employees. Good, be that, that's fantastic. You know, what we're some of the leaders of the free world in banking. Great, that can't be the only thing we're good at. We gotta be able to invent more stuff than that. You know, Canadians invented basketball, the zipper. I mean, 1 million things were invented here. So we know we've got the capability.
Like what you said is very interesting. It's like a new insight for me because I was always wondering that, like, why things are much more faster in the US? Like why Canadians are relatively slower while making decisions?
We're not risk takers by nature in Canada. We want to be careful, but it's not because we're afraid necessarily or overly cautious so much as, you know, if I start something and I think, okay, I need to scale this, I need 3 more people to work for me. I want to think, am I going to be able to have those 3 people have sustainable jobs that will last? I don't want to just take advantage of them for now. I want to know that I'm contributing to them in a bigger way. We keep a lot more in our head about it's not just about the building the thing, making the money, getting the profit. You know, we believe as Canadians our job is to be peacemakers, helpers of the world, saviors of freedom, great flag wavers of liberalism, all of that, even before we are successful business people.
I see.
So it's not build the business, think of the philanthropy later. It's bake in the whole thing. So we have to consider a lot more stuff to make a decision, I think. I think that's why we think differently. The United States is our closest neighbor. They've always been a tremendous trading partner for us. We learn a lot from them. I don't know if they learn as much from us. But when we were growing up as kids, so I was, that's a long time ago for me, right? Like, I almost feel like we had stone tablets in school, like it was that long ago. But we used to say this, how do you tell American society from Canadian society? And we said the American society is a melting pot. If you go there and you're Azerbaijani or you're, Russian or German or Dutch or Italian, you might be Italian American, but really you have to become American.
I see.
And then you can tack on some other stuff. You can still have spaghetti for dinner or whatever. But first you gotta be American. In Canada, we already started off with two founding cultures plus this whole huge Indigenous community that already existed long before the French and the English came. But even just going back as far as the French and the English, we started everything as, I wouldn't call it a coalition because it wasn't very friendly. It was two enemies splitting sides over and over again. But still, the country was founded on having these two cultures. So there was this always having give and take, always having to recognize that there were others who weren't like us, that there were differences and that we had to figure out ways to accommodate. We have not been perfect or angels about this in any way. The amount of enlightenment I've gained in my own lifetime just about the transgressions we've made against other people in our country astound me. But I still think we're ahead of the game compared to some places in our willingness to learn. I think that we have an opportunity to be a bigger and better and different sort of thing. Because we have the opportunity, it would be like having a colossal do-over. We have a ton of Canadians who've gone to the Valley and made their careers there because when they started, that was their only choice. They had to go. If that's where they wanted to be, that's where the work was. And now we're in a place where the work can be, as you said, where you want. So here they are. They can build it here if they want to build it here. They've learned all the great things they learned in the Valley. They learned all the things that they wish they hadn't done in the Valley. They learned all the things from their friends in the Valley where they said, oh God, if I had the chance to go back, I would never have done it this way. We have the chance to do all of that, the biggest do-over in the world, and create something that is, hopefully someday, somebody won't even say that it's the next Silicon Valley, but it's some other thing of its own. I have, lots of friends in California, and sometimes we have discussions about it, especially the ones who are very liberal and do have this idea of Canadian freedom and whatever, and they say they might want to come here and what's it like, and why do you produce all these amazing people with these great ideas? And I said, well, we have a unicorn on our coat of arms in Canada, and they think it's a joke. And I say, just go look it up on Wikipedia and you'll see we actually do. It's built into us to be adventurers and pioneers. I think the United States started the same way, but it's full of people now. There's not a lot of wild space anymore.
Yes.
We have still a lot of wild space. We have a lot of people who came here because they wanted something new, exciting, a start. They took a risk, they left their home. You left your home, you came halfway around the world to come here, right? My ancestors did the same thing. They got on some boat that was full of, I don't know, cholera, God knows, whatever, floated across the ocean, landed on a rock in terrible, what was promised to be prime farmland. It was nothing of the sort. It was solid granite. But they managed to scrape out a living and stay alive in the cold and kept things going and had some kids, and those had some kids, and pretty soon we're stuck here. Here we are, we're Canadians, and how it worked for us. But somewhere in there, in all of us, is that pioneer, explorer DNA. We've all got it. There's, with the exception of people who were here tens of thousands of years ago, we're all here as pioneers or explorers. But you also, when you start, you gotta have some kind of plan for what you're gonna do. Take a business model canvas, and even if it's not, I'm gonna build this business myself, map that thing out and say, what's the value proposition? What is it that I think I'm gonna do? If it's that I'm gonna look for a different kind of job, where are you gonna find it? Where are you gonna look? What are your plans? Who do you know? Who can help you? Map out some of that stuff. Do it on your lunch hour. Do it sitting on the streetcar. Do it, when you're sitting, instead of watching inane, stupid television at night. Plan your life a little and think about what you want. How can you get there?
Like, who was your go-to person, or the person that you idolized, that, oh, if he did it or she did it, I will do it, or if you were down, and who was the person to say what you need to say and go back and start doing it again? Did you have that type of persona, or you were just with yourself and your husband?
I have some mentors I've learned stuff from, specific things, I guess, about being confident, but often I rarely had a big M mentor, like this one person who just was Pygmalion and helped me become, whatever. I just, that's not really what's happened for me. I had other women who said, who are older than me, who said, just keep going. Ignore the laundry. Don't care if your house looks perfect. Don't worry that your son wore a mismatched shirt to school today. No one died. It's all good. I had other people who said, it doesn't matter that, you're going to school and all your friends are taking care of kids or working or whatever they're doing. My husband is a great balancer of me. So I am much more likely to be on the far end of any emotion. Anger, fear, forcing people, I quit, this is stupid, I'm not gonna do this. And he kind of is calm about stuff. He's very zen about things. And then I see him and I'm like, he's faced with the same situation. We're in the same, why is he not overreacting? I go, okay, maybe I should think a little. It's not even anything he says. I just see he's facing the same thing. He's operating a different way because we have different levers that make us happen. On the other hand, I'm more likely to charge into something and go, no, come on, jump in, let's go, both feet, let's do it. But when we started, I wasn't like that. When he said, we talked about this business, we really should start now. And I'm like, we're both unemployed. That's crazy. We're going to be unemployed and have 2 kids and a house and risk everything. That's stupid, I said. And so he was like, well, how could we try it and make it feel safer? How can I try it and make it feel a little safer? What can I put in place? And that's maybe a good thing for people to think about who want to try. What little thing can I try that moves me in the direction I want to go? What's a small risk? Well, that wasn't bad. Didn't burn myself that time. Okay, let's do what's a little bit bigger risk. Did it again. Didn't hurt myself too badly that time either. Pretty soon, you can teach yourself to take bigger and bigger risks.
So for you, basically your husband was the initiator, more a bit risk taker, and then you became even more of him.
Because he liked to do things and start things and make things, I think. But I also think he was better at understanding risk versus reward. He also understood how much reward you would give up by not taking the risk. So I think I understood risk and how to avoid risk. I didn't understand how much reward I might be giving up by avoiding risk.
And right now, I'm guessing that we will have some people who are just starting, like maybe they just graduated from school, they want to get into the marketing business or technology industry. Let's say they're in their early stage of their career. So what would be your like few advice for them, like what they should do, what they shouldn't, what to care for?
Yeah, I see these people starting, I want to be in marketing, I want to be in banking, I want to be in a certain industry. I would say stop trying to just be in boxes. Think about, what am I good at? How do I add value for people? How do I do things? I mean, when I started, my intention was to be an elementary school teacher. I wanted to teach kids about how to seize opportunities. I wanted them to see that even if they had a strange, tough little life, they had unlimited potential. I went through school at a time where there was a huge recession, teachers were being laid off, nobody was getting hired. I had no chance of getting a job in that business at that time. And I said, you know, I often wonder what it would be like. And someone said to me, but you teach people things all the time. You're always, so I just found ways to do the things I love to do in some other context. Find the things you're great at doing, you love to do. Don't think so much as, you know, if we all prepared ourselves to work in, horse-drawn carriage factories, and then Henry Ford came along, shit, we'd be in a terrible place. Like, it would be awful for us because suddenly there'd be no more horse-drawn carriage factories. We wouldn't have jobs. So don't prepare yourself for a job that there is right now or a kind of company that exists right now. It's fine to apply to that sort of company and go for a job there. I don't know anybody who has a 25 or 30 or lifelong career with one company anymore. You know, people do a lot of stuff. They evolve, they grow, they build their network, meet people, learn stuff, do things you like. Keep finding ways to get someone to pay you for it.
Yeah, it's been an amazing talk together with you, Megann. I appreciate your insights and your wise advice.